Holy moly, my God. Oh, are you ready for this? Let me take a sip of my drink, everybody. This is Breaking the Cage. Hold on. I've never had so much crap that I have to talk about, I swear. You just might, some of you who take notes, or really, you might just want to put pause or when you're coming back and watching it later, get your stuff together, because you might want to take some notes. And I'm telling you, we're coming into eclipse season. Next week, you've got the equinox. You've got a super full moon with the equinox. And you don't have the full moons take place with the equinox anywhere near as often as you do fall equinox versus the spring equinox. I think I was doing some homework, and it's like every 19 years or some stuff. Right there, 9 plus 1, that's a 10, it's completion. Okay? Plus, this isn't just your... I'm sorry, I was making sure I didn't hear somebody knocking on the door. This isn't just about completion, but this is a harvest moon. A harvest moon on the equinox. If you are a sign in the eclipses, like if you are a Pisces sign, because the first is a partial eclipse, but make no mind to that being partial. This means it is still with that full moon. This energy is going to be enormous, okay? So you're going to have the full moon, equinox, harvest moon, partial eclipse coming in next week. You are preparing yourself to be acclimated for the energies that we are going through in general as this planet is changing, as we're going through the Schumann resonance coming up, spiking, hitting up over 100 often. The solar flares. And then just the energy and the shift. There's just, there's so much here. If you are a Pisces, if you are a Libra, if you are an Aries, this shit is gonna hit hard. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It really depends on how much you know yourself, how much you know you're changing and you're healing. A lot of this is going to deal with overcoming belief systems, along with, you know, the hive mind projection of what you've always been taught, the way you've always followed suit, versus that healing change and the projection of this change. Not to mention on the world scale, okay? If you know your astrology and you have a lot of planetary energies in Pisces, Aries, or Libra, where these eclipses are going to take place over the next month, starting next week. These are going to be, especially for the energies of whatever it represents in those houses for you, it is definitely going to be extra umped up. And like I said, this isn't a bad thing or a good thing necessarily, but I am being reminded of both perspectives. And because there are those out there who are preparing ill will, versus us trying to come into our higher source self, our higher perspectives, our higher energies, our higher vibrations, and mature and grow and reclaim our power. Last week I was saying that I had death written all over it, and I'm understanding more now as to how drastic this is. Like I said, first off, you're having the equinox, full moon, Pisces, 12th house, universal, grief, sorrow, shame, blame, skeletons in the closet, all being forced up out, This is not the time to party and put yourself in dreamland and refuse responsibility. But it doesn't mean to stay drowned in the 3D either. This is time to take responsibility and honor, like I was saying last week, honor the death of the you and the world and the patterns and everything that you once were. Honor that. Because Spirit was reminding me, just like in old cultures, old mythology, nothing goes to waste. Like the Native Americans, would use every part of the animal when there had to be a sacrifice. They would use the animal and the bones and the hide and use it for food, use it for their tents, use it for their clothing, use everything. Nothing goes to waste. Nothing about your life thus far has been a waste. Nothing about you is waste. Everything about you has to do with that growing to come into this new you and this new world. However, there are those. You've got Pluto, which is now in retrograde. It's been in retrograde, but it now just jumped back into Pisces. Not Pisces, I'm sorry. It just now jumped back into Capricorn. I think it could be wrong because I don't have it in front of me, but I believe Pluto was outside of the past year. Pluto had been in Capricorn for like the last 37 years. I think it was. I could be wrong, but so don't quote me on that one. But the energy of Pluto coming into Aquarius and making its change, and that energy shifting, we were starting to get more used to, and it's come back into this Capricorn energy, this cold energy, this society. Capricorn rules the 12th house. Not the 12th, I'm sorry. It rules the 10th house. Honor, reputation, prestige, but it's also the political arena. It is social and society, everything. It is authority and rules of the outer world. And its whole mission of the time it was there was to teach us how to stand firm, strong on our own and not need to be a sheep anymore. It was teaching us how to not need outer authority of crap society, false ill will ideas, old primitive ideas that's kept us in bad ways. But it's, like I said, it's old fashioned and stuck in its way. It's very grounded and very cold and very methodical and doesn't move fast. And it is the outer world coming back on us, showing us where, if there is any question or doubt, to us not owning or honing in on our power and our personal authority from within, and allowing it to shine and illuminate through us outwardly. They say that we are light. We are not in our light bodies. But how are we going to get back to that? How are we going to move ourselves back in that direction? That's what all of this is about. Now, let me back up. Because while I'm going through all of this, I'm going to throw a couple of other things at you to get you understanding where I'm talking about. The equinox itself speaks to us of balance of light and dark and transformation. It is the balance of light and dark, good and evil, positive and negative. This is why it's not shadow work anymore. This is just serious work. But it's the super harvest moon. What is a harvest? The collecting, the gathering, the reaping. the reaping of everything that you are soulfully, good and bad. Honoring it, nothing has come to waste. Honoring that you are the infinite power. But what are you tapping into? Because I promise you, on the negative perspective, that reaping has a different conversation. That reaping is meaning, a whole different form of a reaping, like harvesting. But for us, it needs to be harvesting and coming back into collecting and gathering ourselves. This is a moment of pause, yet not. You have to stay focused now. We cannot, this is, Pluto is going to be in Capricorn until I believe November 20th. This is your true last chance of learning that lesson of honor and authority and inner power and showing it outside of yourself in that outer authority of the world, and showing that you have your own outer authority and you don't have to be a sheep and follow suit. However, Pisces, not Pisces, this is where I look down. Pluto is only going to be there until November 20th. So in a form, this is your last chance to throw that shit at the wall and make it stick. This is a time not to fumble that ball. But still stay in your magic and you got to stay in that upper believing. I'm seeing if there's anything else like I've missed right there. The other thing, now I'm going to take it to more of the world stage perspective, because I can't put it any other way. Spirit put the flat out warning of Rasputin. I don't know how to pronounce his first name, but Rasputin, the past, the history of the Romanov family, the assassination of the Romanov family, Rasputin being seen as as a holy man, yes, yet a mad monk. You know, Rasputin actually stands for debauched one, insidious influences, morally harmful, but over a long period of time. But ultimately, it was the assassination, is what I'm being brought back to, of the Romanov family, and them being the last royal empire in Russia, royal imperial dynasty in Russia, with that last one being very weak, not strong in the mind. Allow a lot of not good influences to slowly creep up into harmful issues. Now, let me take us back to us individually. You are looking at society and the rules and the way we were taught life had to be, and getting out of our routines, because a lot of this has to do, we just came from the Virgo energy. Changing our routines, changing our patterns, changing our belief systems, changing that energy diet, and knowing our belief systems have changed. We were mentally put here in this system, in this matrix, in this game, as a Rasputin. Over time, didn't start out harmful, but over time, it really starts to become harmful, following that hive mind mentality and going further away from yourself. at such a great level. But then I am being literally on some levels for your society and some things on that line. There is something definitely that is you're looking at probably within the next 2 months, maybe even 3 or 4 possibly. Something is coming up that is making spirit flat out give me the Rasputin family. And I mean, Rasputin as the mystic as well as the Romanov family and all of the messed up crap that happened with that society and so forth. So this is why I'm saying while Pluto is here for the next 2 months, 3 months technically, Pluto's death, decay, destruction, for renewal, rebirth, regeneration in the outer world, in the political arena, in authority, in anything social authority outside of you. I'm talking social services. I'm talking court cases. I'm talking the way judges make decisions. I'm talking about social security. I mean, everything that is authority outside of us and how that society is ruled and makes its decisions and does its work. You're looking at Pluto coming back to the only thing it's known for so many years, trying to break its bad habit, break its bad pattern. Pluto is in retrograde here for until November 20th, going, this is the last time I'm ever going to have to teach you this lesson. So let me slap it to you hard about what you've got to learn to come into your power in that outer world and let it shine bright. Because believe me, where they're losing their power and losing control, they also know they only have that small window to slap it to the wall and make it stick. And then Pluto moves into Aquarius, comes back into this whole new change of energy. So this shit is not something to avoid. This is stay on point, stay on focus now, but at the same time, lay low and allow yourself to transform, allow yourself to go inward, because I'm getting like the hermit. Allow yourself to get that spiritual growth, spiritual maturity, and don't get yourself in a Rasputin idea that starts out being something that may seem good, but morally, spiritually, soulfully is going to become damaging and harming. Make sure that you are seeing the truth here. I told you, Mirror's going to be all over this. It's why I was also being given Baphomet. That's why I was being given like all the freaking death gods. Sorry to put it that way, but everything that has to do with you want to come back into you, this is the time. Get right with you. Because this is some major work for a major new world that we are changing, a major acclamation. And the empath sensitivity is off the chain. Then you're going into the eclipses, which is taking place in the beginning of this. Like I said, starting with us having the eclipse next week in Pisces. Then Libra, solar eclipse. Then Aries, final lunar eclipse. As we go through October. So this major energy taking place. You have this week. Oh, before I get into the astrology, let me also jump back here into... Oh yeah, I need to check that part out. Let me jump back into the blueprint, because I did a little bit more research than last week. You have a lot of stuff going on also in the lower body, which is going to be communicating with that upper body. And I'm always saying those lower chakras from the hips down is your consciencelessness. Consciencelessness. I mean, I don't give a fuck. That's full on ego storage of lower vibrations trying to talk to the upper part of the body. And the mainstream upper 7 chakras. And this is where blockages really happen and why people can't truly find healing, because they're not working with the lower chakras. But we're going to start with the top. You have the North Node, which is in Aries, which is the head, but it is literally on the ears and the eyes. So this isn't just about what you're seeing or hearing. It is, but it is also visually, three-dimensionally, what you're focusing on with that hearing and seeing, how you are allowing your perspectives to view the world around you, and what are you putting the energy into to pay attention to. You have Chiron, which is on the cheeks and the eyes. So this also has to do with you being able to speak, talk, eat, breathe, move your mouth. But it also has to do with, again, your eyes. Visually, what are you seeing versus third eye seeing? And how are you allowing that to work with you? We come into Taurus. You have Uranus, which is, and sounds weird, but as it's moving this week, it's on the nostrils, the nasal. The energy that you are breathing in, the air that you are breathing in, the energy of the higher vibration or distraught, depressed versus joy. What are you breathing into your heart? Also nose in the form of smells. Your smells may be up right now. It has a lot to do with psychic energy sometimes. Sometimes the scent can have a lot to do with things. You may be finding it being a little bit more jacked up. But it's going from the nasal directly over to the spinal cord. And the spinal cord is what? I've only said it a million times. It's the zeal point, and it's connecting the head and everything going on and operating up in here, connecting to the head and going directly down into all chakras, sending it through all circulation of your body to those lower chakras, even in your feet, and back up, sending the circulation and the conversation through, all starting with the eyes and the ears. That's where it begins. Then you have Jupiter is on the ribs. Mars is also on the ribs, but Jupiter is on the upper ribs. Mars is on the lower ribs. Mars is going to be moving. Mars is now in Cancer. So we are talking about, for one, the strength within you of feeling protected and free. Because it's the rib cage. It's protecting the heart, the life force energy. It's also breathing in because it's protecting the energies inside of that rib cage, speaking to you about your blood levels, your blood oxygen level, about your oxygen in general level, what is happening with your I might be getting it wrong. Carbon monoxide, because we do have some of it in us, not much, but and I might be getting it wrong. But this has to do with the energies and the ability to breathe in, and there's just so much going on here. But this is Jupiter, the higher knowledge, abundance in the upper chest, closer to the heart, and then coming down into the lower is Mars. And it is literally speaking to you about, as well as your arms, because we're talking about Gemini energy. So we're talking about that heart stretching out to the arms. This is for people not in a healthy position. This is energy attacking the arms, feeling like a stroke, feeling like a heart attack, because you got too much going on, holding on too much grief and anxiety. This has everything to do with, do you feel protected in your own skin? Do you feel freedom in your own skin, or are you feeling lack of it and anxiety riddled? A lot of this is, like I said, the rib cage, and what it is the pressure that it's putting on the heart. We're talking about chakras. We're talking about emotions. We're talking about spirituality. We're getting real, people. Mercury, Mercury is still in Leo. That's the life force energy. It's heart, but get this, it's also going to be moving, and it's going to be going right on top of the spleen. Another life force energy. So your communication is everything. Your communication with yourself, with the outer world, with the eyes, with the way your mind is working. Not just the communication with your friends, family, people, work, but yourself and the way you are seeing this world. It is, are you stuck in worry and anxiety, overthinking, not feeling grounded and secure? That's security, safety, inner emotional security on top of it, because we're talking about, you know, that Leo sign. It's the heart being able to tap into the inner child, inner fun, inner play. Why I say, what makes you tick? What makes you want to get up and be here again for another day? Or are you so riddled by worry, anxiety, overthinking, overanalyzing? Communication right now is everything as to what's going on in that heart chakra. And how much yapping are you allowing? This has a lot to do with spiritual maturity, guys. You have Virgo, which is the sun, is over the liver and the gallbladder, speaking about anger, frustration, depression, stress. This is the digestion, digesting the energies that we are holding in us that we have not released. Depression, anxiety, stress, anger, frustration, where we're not able to communicate it or fix it or find a way out of it. What we are fighting with inside of ourselves. And that's getting into solar plexus, sacral chakra energy. Libra is Venus, but it's also Juno, Lilith, and the South Node. And this is all on the kidneys and adrenal. Lower back, literally removing waste of what we don't need, staying in us, blocking us, keeping us literally weighed down with low vibrational energy. Fear, instability, feeling unsafe, unstable, unsecure, fear of change. These are the things that we're looking at, what we're trying to avoid, acknowledging where we still need areas of work. Nobody on this planet is perfectly fine and happy. We all have issues. But when we get into Pluto, the other thing here is, which brings me right back to the Rasputin and the Rosanov family. It's not just Pluto going back into Capricorn, but you have Sirius in Capricorn and you have Pholos. Pholos is, the way Spirit gives it to me, is fool's loss. Where the fool lost. Where by not keeping your eye on the ball, you manage to get yourself injured. You manage to twist your ankle, break your leg, get poisoned. Full loss. Sirius is the threefold: karma, nurturing, or neglecting. And then you have the spirit itself coming back in here going, well, or have you found who your spirit is? And Capricorn is the knees. Remember, the knees are responsible for balancing the body, the whole upper half. It has to be flexible. It has to be able to bend, twist, turn. flexibility, guys. And when we're not flexible, we're getting in jealousy, anger, mad at the world. We become stiff and hard. This is Capricorn energy in its colder perspectives. Having a conversation with the upper chakras of where we're not finding the healing. So you may be finding they're communicating with each other. Then you have Pisces, which is still Saturn and Neptune, the feet. I can't say enough times why in so many cultures it's important to bless the feet. The feet are what walk you into every situation that you are a part of. Ultimately, the feet is what carried you to anything that's good or anything that's horrific. And when we look at it from the negative perspective, like I said, it's grief, sorrow, shame, blame, skeletons in the closet, but it's also speaking about the most malice of our energies, murder, resentment, anger. I don't give a fuck about what that makes you feel like. The worst parts of us. And this is why when we're doing things we shouldn't be doing, why we twist our ankles, we stub our toes, because it's the worst parts of us coming out. This is why it's slow down and really listen to what your body's saying. There's so much information going on within your body. There's a blueprint and a program that each one of us are running off of, but then we have our individual blueprint according to your own astrology of where your fixed signs are and the planetary energies and what your true rulerships are. Sometimes the chakra energies and the chakra meditations don't work. And the reason they don't is because you actually have a planet ruling an energy, not the chakra. I also do blueprints if anybody is interested, and that's like a 14-page file, but you could always contact me directly. I always am open for taking sessions and so forth if people want to, but I do these for free because I know so many people can't afford me. Now, when we get into, we have very positive energies this week, though, in the astrology itself. You have Uranus, which is in Taurus, trying to find its independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, manifesting energy according to our self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. And it is speaking great with this Pluto energy about making the change, finding the true soul fire, showing the outer world, I got this. And coming back into it and really stepping it and showing it and bringing it as a mirror for your own self to see is a very positive energy of being able to help us. Jupiter in the third house of Gemini, communication and everything that's up close and personal. Jupiter, everything that's up close and personal in Gemini, everything that's up close and personal, plus abundance, Jupiter. Manifestation and boom, right here in your face, everything. Good and bad in general, making sure you get that. But Jupiter itself is speaking great with Venus in the 7th house. Venus has now passed Lilith, the South Node, and Juno. So it's past them, so that energy isn't as intense as it was last week. But we are still looking at your relationship with yourself and your relationship with the outer world. How are you seeing yourself in these relationships with this outer world? Any and everything you care about, you have a relationship with. You have a relationship with your money. When you have no money, you know about that relationship. When you have no car, you know about that relationship. When you have no roof over your head or no food, you know about that relationship. Anything and everything you care about, you have a relationship with. And this is showing us how our relationships and the relationship we have with ourself is the communication of everything that's important to us. Really all up in your face, good or bad. But this is a positive energy meant to help us. But Spirit is saying this is definitely more of self-relationships and really working on healing more than anything. Personal healing. A lot of personal and self-judgment. Frustration that people are trying to overcome. Projected ideas of themselves. And overcome individual anger and doubt over their own path within these situations. They're saying that also has to do with feeling it in the thighs and the knees, not just in the arms. But you have sextiles, which are positive energies. Sextiles are opportunities. Seize them. But like I said, this isn't a moment to go full steam ahead, but it is a moment to make sure you are still staying on target and not slack off. But don't really expect to see full rewards just yet, even though this is the reaping. This is the harvest. The equinox is showing you, and the eclipses are showing you this transformation is going to take more time. You have Uranus speaking great with Neptune, which is speaking wonderfully with Pluto. So this is realizing ourself, our power, our magic, overcoming our grief, sorrow, shame, blame, our inner denial, and they said withdrawal for some people, or personal withdrawal, and allowing ourselves to see ourselves for what we have been as well as what we want to be. Like I said right from the beginning, this is saying goodbye to the old, but nothing was a waste. Nothing you've lived or ever overcome or ever been part of your life, including the old bad habits, the old bad hive mind mentality. It's all still part of who and what you are and were and will change into, because you couldn't be the best light of all light if you didn't deal with some of the worst, dark, stressful shit. That's just how big and full of color and brightness you really are. Anyway, Uranus. Independence, individuality, uniqueness, freedom, self-worth, self-value, self-esteem. Learning how to be in possession of our own power, possession of our freedom, believing in it from our self-worth, self-value, self-esteem, creating the manifestation from that, and taking it back to back to Neptune, overcoming by learning and honoring, not being mad at ourselves, not being guilty and holding ourselves, down and telling ourselves bad things. It's all part of the learning curve, and then going back into showing it to the outer world, or however you want to see it, which direction. Maybe it started with the mirror and showing you how to work your way forward. Either way, it is a transformation. It is being able to bring the true you, or the closer true you, forward. You have Mars and Mercury, which are getting along great. Inner emotional security with communication. Be honest with yourself. But you have challenges like nobody's business this week, especially during the 11th and the 12th. And that has everything to do with Phulos, Ceres, and Pluto, as well as Mars. How strong are you within? How much do you know yourself? And how okay are you with all of that in order to grow? I love you, big love. I will see you next week. And if you want to contact me directly, the information, you can always find it in the information that's tagged here. Bye, guys.